Hello, my friends, it's Danny, and Happy New Year. I am super excited. I thought it would be really fun to kick this year off sharing 10 healthy eating tips so that I could help you get started and or support you on your journey with health, wellness, and weight loss. Now, as you listen to this video, you may see that some of these tips tend to overlap and or play off of each other. That tends to be the way it works. As always, take what works for you, take what resonates, and leave the rest behind. I also want to encourage you to stick around to the end of the video because that's when I'm going to chat about how to actually take these tips and begin to implement them into your life, right? Information and knowledge does not actually get us anywhere unless we begin to apply it. So we're going to chat more about that towards the end of the video. And finally, keep in mind that healthy eating is going to look different for everyone. So much of this work is going inward and checking in with ourselves to see what we believe is the right next step for us. Because when we ask ourselves the question, we're often very pleased to see that we actually have all of the answers. So the very first tip that I want to share is to be easy, gentle, and curious. I know so many of you just want me to get right into the action steps. My brain does that as well. We want to get right into go, go, go. But it's important to take note that via the media, via the diet industry, so many of us have been taught that we need to push and beat and bully ourselves to the finish line. We're taught that being healthy or making changes or losing weight is all about this journey that's supposed to be hard, where we have to restrict and deprive and punish ourselves. But as you know, as I know, that does not work. When we are constantly pushing and criticizing ourselves, we're creating a lot of negative emotion. And it's very difficult, if not impossible, to create a positive result from a negative emotional state. So I want you to commit to a kinder way. I want you to be willing to take a step back and be curious and to be open and to be easy and to be gentle and to know that you can make a commitment to change without being mean to yourself, right? Or without telling yourself that you've got to fix yourself and that you've got to get somewhere. Remind yourself that truly step one is to be gentle and kind and easy and curious, and use that as the launching pad to begin to create change for yourself. Healthy eating tip number 2, focus on real whole foods. Now, this may seem like a very simple concept, but it's probably the most powerful shift any of us can make when it comes to eating a healthier diet. Focusing on real whole, unprocessed foods as close to their natural state as possible most of the time. Meaning you want to eat lots of fresh vegetables, fruits, good high quality sources of protein. That could be animal protein or that could be plant-based protein. Good high quality sources of fats, things like avocados, olives, nuts, seeds, etc. And then of course, good quality carbohydrates like whole grains, root vegetables, wild rice, quinoa, etc. Again, a simple concept, but truly take a look at what you're putting on your plate day in and day out. And are you focusing the base of your diet on real whole foods? Simple, but very powerful. Tip number 3, avoid highly processed foods. So this is coming right off of the heels of eating more real whole foods. We really want to be avoiding highly processed foods that are designed to excite your taste buds, but they are not designed to nourish your body. Now, keep in mind there are different types of processed foods. Sprouted bread is slightly processed. Oatmeal is slightly processed. Frozen vegetables are slightly processed. These are not the foods I am referring to. I am referring to the food-like substances that line the majority of the grocery store shelves that have absolutely no nutritional value and have an excess of ingredients, many of those ingredients being tons of salt, tons of sugar, and or low quality oils. Now, I know that some of you will argue that those foods taste really good, and I get it. They're designed to taste good. But other than the fact that they offer no nutritional value and really make it hard to feel satiated and satisfied after a meal, they also mess with your taste buds, because when you're eating foods that are really high in fat, salt, and sugar, and then you want to eat an apple or enjoy a beautiful salad, those foods, the subtle nuances of real whole foods, are not going to be appreciated. It's almost as though we need to reset the palate from this artificial extreme flavor back to real whole beautiful flavors. So there are multiple reasons to avoid these highly processed foods, other than the fact that they really are not healthy. They do not nourish the body. They are notorious for messing with blood sugar levels and natural hunger signals. But again, if you just love food, they will skew your palate, and they actually will make it very difficult for you to enjoy real whole food. So I just want to gently encourage you to move away from and or minimize highly processed foods. Healthy eating tip number 4, connect to your hunger. Oftentimes when we're trying to eat better, we look to external information to tell us what to eat and when to eat. And the problem with that is that we fall out of practice with tuning into our body's natural hunger signals. And so this kind of creates a false belief system that you can't trust your body, or that you don't know how to eat or when to eat, when I promise you, we are all kind of born with this innate sense and knowing, and we simply fall out of practice with connecting to it. So really, this becomes a journey of dropping out of the mind and dropping back down into the body, right? We're trying to connect to the sensations of hunger in the body. And if you haven't done this in a while, just let it be a practice. 2 very simple questions to ask yourself to begin this practice are simply, am I hungry and have I had enough? So when you begin, or you're about to eat a meal, or you're wondering if it's time to eat, simply go inward and ask yourself, am I hungry? Notice the sensations in your body. If you're not sure, I say wait. Put your timer on for 15 minutes. Check back in 15 minutes. Ask the question again until you can begin to reconnect and identify some of the signals that your body will relay to you when you're feeling hungry. Likewise, I'd say when you're about halfway through a meal, pause and ask yourself, have I had enough? Do I still want to eat more? Am I still physically hungry, right? These are just simple tools that can really get you back into the habit of going inward and connecting to the sensations of the body so that you can honor your body's hunger signals. This just really helps take a lot of stress out of knowing when to eat and what exactly to eat, right? Because again, it's getting you out of your mind and bringing you back into your body. And inside of our bodies is truly where all of our wisdom lives. So I encourage you to begin to nourish that relationship between yourself and your body. Healthy eating tip number 5, experiment with your macronutrient balance. We hear a lot about macronutrients these days, and while I am not suggesting that you need to count your macros, I do think it's important to take note of the balance of macronutrients you have on your plate throughout the day. If you tend to lean towards a very heavy carbohydrate diet, for many people, this can create more cravings and make it harder to regulate your appetite. Does that mean you shouldn't be eating carbohydrates? No, not at all. But what it does mean is you want to consider, hey, do I have some good quality proteins on my plate? Do I have some good quality fat on my plate? For many people, this simple shift can really make all of the difference in the world, because that protein and that fat can help to regulate blood sugar levels, which can both make it easier for us to feel satiated and satisfied after a meal, but also it can make it easier for us to connect to natural hunger signals. Because if you have a diet that is very, very high in carbohydrate, especially when it's low quality carbohydrate, that can throw off blood sugar levels, which messes with the hormonal balance, which can make it hard to connect to hunger signals. So again, if you have lots of carbs in your diet and you're feeling good about it, leave it the way it is. But if you are struggling, this might be a beautiful place to experiment. No right or wrong, simply experiment, observe, tweak, and adjust. The 6th healthy eating tip that I have for you today is to focus on quality over calories. Now, we hear a lot about calories, and many people will say that a calorie is a calorie. Calories in, calories out, doesn't matter what you eat, as long as you're in a specific caloric range, you are good to go. And I personally think this is an oversimplified approach to nutrition and to calories in general, because different calories react and play differently in your body. For instance, let's take a 400 calorie meal. The first meal is made up of salmon, brown rice, and broccoli. And the second meal is a traditional blueberry muffin made of refined flours and sugars. That blueberry muffin is mostly made up of carbohydrate. It has very little, if any, protein, no fiber. And when we eat food like this, right, think of this as a highly processed food, meaning the processing is done outside of your body, so that when you eat it, your body doesn't have much processing to do. It's going to quickly elevate blood sugar levels, which is going to quickly elevate insulin in the body. And when it's quickly elevated like that, it also comes down quickly. Some could call it a crash. And the result of that is that you will be left feeling very unsatisfied, very unsatiated, and very hungry shortly after eating. Some say they feel hangry, which is a combination of feeling hungry and angry all at the same time, like you need to eat something and you need to do it immediately. The body is very wise, and it knows that if the blood sugar crashes and it needs to get it back up quick, hey, I'm going to create a craving for more sugar or more refined flours, things that I can eat quickly without having to do a lot of processing. So it kind of turns into a negative spin cycle if you do it a lot. Now, on the flip side, if you were to eat that beautiful meal of salmon and brown rice and broccoli, you've got lots of healthy protein, healthy fats, lots of fiber. This is going to take some time for your body to process. It's going to take some time for your body to break it down. And so blood sugars will elevate slowly and a little bit more steadily. There won't be a big crash after you're done eating. And when you are done, you'll feel more satisfied, more satiated, and you won't have strong cravings, or you will be less likely, I should say, to have strong cravings for more processed carbohydrates and or sugars. So of course, the quality of the calories that we are eating matters, right? Not only does it matter just from a nutritional standpoint, but it matters from the standpoint of what behavior does it drive after we're done eating it, right? What do we want to eat next? And how soon do we want to eat again? So I say, instead of only focusing on calories, really step back and focus on the quality of the food that you're eating. You get a lot more bang for your buck. Healthy eating tip number 7, move towards a plant-based diet. Allow me to explain. I have a lot of people ask me, should I be a vegan? Should I eat a vegan diet? Danny, should we all be vegans? And to that, my answer is not necessarily, unless of course you really want to and it really works for you. But what I do believe, and one of the very few things that most all nutritional experts agree on, and we all know that they do not agree on much, is that we all want to have an abundance of plant-based foods at the base of our diet, right? So tons of vegetables, fruits where they work, anything that's really coming from Mother Earth, things that are rooted in life energy, you want at the base of your diet. Now, does that mean you have to be a vegan? Absolutely not. You can be a meat eater and have a plant-based diet. You can be paleo and have a plant-based diet. You could be a weightlifter and have a plant-based diet, right? You could be a yogi and have a plant-based diet. There are many different nutritional approaches that still rest on a plant-based diet. Because my brain really likes to simplify these concepts, what really helps me is to think about it like this. The more life, energy, and vitality in the food that I eat, the more life, energy, and vitality I am going to receive from that food, right? So you're going to get more life, energy, and vitality from a fresh salad than you are from a can of soup. Easy way to just make choices around your food. If you're looking for more energy, if you want to feel more vibrant, lighter, brighter, choose foods that have those characteristics, and you are going to receive those benefits from those foods. Healthy eating tip number 8, cook as often as you can. Cooking your food is hands down one of the easiest ways to know what you're putting in your body. You're in full control of your ingredients. You are in full control of the quality of your ingredients. And so it's a really easy way to nourish your body and to eat healthy, delicious food. Not only that, when you cook your own food, you have more of a connection to your food, and that alone can also feel very nourishing. That's why there is so much power in a home-cooked meal or sharing a home-cooked meal with people you love. While vitamins and minerals are very important, right? We want our antioxidants and all of those goodies when it comes to healthy eating. We also want to take into consideration the energy that goes into our food and in which ways we are actually enjoying our food. So cook as often as you can, and if that's only every once in a blue moon, fantastic. Do it, enjoy it, and let it be enough. Healthy eating tip number 9, practice mindful eating. Now this is coming off of the heels of what I was just saying, which is in order to be truly nourished by a meal, we have to be able to receive the pleasure and the nourishment that that meal has to offer. And nourishment is not only about calories and nutrients. Nourishment is also about flavor, taste, texture, aroma. All of these components play into a nourishing eating experience. So if you're in the habit of eating on the go or eating while you're watching TV or eating in between activities and you're not really receiving all of the pleasure and nourishment that that meal has to offer, you will often be left feeling hungry. Even if you've had enough calories, you will feel hungry because you weren't truly nourished by that meal. And the brain is not smart enough to know the difference. And so what happens is we think we have a willpower issue. I need to control the food. I want to eat more food. When really, we just have an awareness issue. We weren't paying attention when we ate, and therefore that eating experience wasn't actually registered within the body. So taking the time to really be present with a meal, the flavor, the taste, the texture, the aromas, can really be a very satisfying eating experience, which then will curb the desire to eat more food later if and when you're not really hungry. So if you don't already do this, just choose one meal in the day, if that's all you can do. One meal where you can commit to eating mindfully and with your full awareness, where you're just committed to the pleasure and to the enjoyment of that meal. And notice how that affects your relationship with your food, your appetite, and overall satisfaction with your meal. And healthy eating tip number 10 is make it easy, make it fun, and don't get fanatic. Remember, the name of the game here is to feel better. We want to eat better so we can feel better. So if you're going into this with a very stressed and uptight and anxious point of view, we're kind of missing the whole point, right? We end up feeling not so good about trying to eat better, and then we're like, well, what's the point of eating better if it makes me feel bad? So I want you to go into this with a lighthearted approach. Ask yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I make this more fun? What would be delicious? When you ask yourself a better question, you will receive a better answer. So instead of saying to yourself, why is this so hard? Why can't I do this? Why can't this work for me? Ask yourself better questions. How can I make this more fun? What would make this exciting? What would I look forward to? And see if you can't come up with more exciting, more, what's the word I'm looking for? Desirable answers for yourself where you actually feel a sense of excitement about moving toward these changes. Now, as promised, I also want to talk to you about how do you begin to implement changes in a way that is truly sustainable over time. There are so many things that we can do, and I know you're all hearing them and reading them everywhere, especially this time of year, to make healthy eating a little bit better, right? You can eat your veggies, you can drink water, you can do more movement, so many different things that we can do. But the practice of real long-term sustainable change is to trust the process of building one small habitual change after another. Meaning, choose one thing that you are ready to commit to, that you are going to say, hey, I really am going to commit to, you fill in the blank. Let's just say it's eating one big salad a day. I'm going to commit to making one of my meals a vegetable-based meal every single day. That could be a salad, that could be a big bowl of vegetable soup, whatever it is for you. And then practice that habit, practice that commitment until it's kind of a no-brainer, until you don't really have to think about it anymore. It's just something that you now do. And once that has happened, then you think about what you can do next. This is a much more sane approach than trying to overhaul everything at the same time. Because if you put unrealistic expectations on yourself, you're going to inevitably fail, and then you're going to tell yourself it doesn't work and it's not worth it. So truly, allow yourself to go slow, the opposite of what most people want us to do. Allow yourself to learn, meaning give yourself the space to do things wrong and to figure out how to do them in a way that's going to work for you until it's sustainable. And then once that becomes a habit, once that becomes kind of a no-brainer, then think about adding something else into the equation. So those are my thoughts on eating healthier this year. I would love to hear what you've been practicing, what you plan to practice, what has worked for you before. Come on down to the comment section below and do share. It's always so very appreciated because not only are you all learning from me, but I also learn from you and you all learn from each other. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Dani Spies and I'll see you back here next time with some more food for thought. Cheers.